Welcome everyone to a brand new podcast series that we have started at Xiaomi India. The idea is to have candid conversations about the world of technology as well as almost everything else that's under the sun. Joining with me today is Anuj, CMO of Xiaomi India, as well as Gautam, who heads product marketing for smartphones and tablets. Great to have you guys here, and I think the idea is to have a conversation with each other, like we do almost every single day. But hopefully they'll also get some insights as to what's happening at Xiaomi and beyond that as well. So thanks for agreeing to be a part of this. Yeah.
Sure. So basically the conversations we keep having on the floor,
Yeah.
but instead of disturbing all the other people who still get work done.
Yeah.
So are we allowed to make some jokes?
Of course. I think that needs to happen in order to keep it lively. So
What are the YouTube policies on jokes? Is this going on YouTube?
Yeah. It'll be on YouTube. We are also planning to go ahead on Spotify and a bunch of other platforms.
So we can't do meta jokes then.
YouTube.
You can.
We can't do meta jokes.
You can, no? You can't Google those jokes.
Yeah. Awesome. So with that intro, let's get started. I think, by the time people see this, they would be actually, looking at our latest addition to the Xiaomi 14 series lineup, which is the Xiaomi 14 Civi. And this is a smartphone that we have seen over the past couple of months, and we have actually been enamored by it, not just in terms of the technology that goes behind it, but I think this is finally a device that we can say looks and feels so premium that it cuts way above its segment as well, right? We have had a slow start in that aspect in terms of design, but I think over the past couple of years, we've made significant leaps, and I think this is the sort of culmination of all those efforts. What do you think about the design on the 14 CV?
I think the design language, especially after the 12S Ultra, I think started changing. I quite liked it. With this one, the fact that it was so handy was the first surprising part to me. Right. So when I kind of picked it up, I like the Xiaomi 14, but this one feels a little different from that as well, which is something that I wasn't expecting. And then, of course, all the three colors having three different materials.
Yeah.
So you got that nanotech vegan leather on the green. Obviously the blue one has that
Dual texture, yeah.
matte effect kind of a thing, and
Yeah, it
obviously
looks really good. I mean, in a macro shot and all this, it seems like tiny pixels.
correct.
So it looks really cool in photos, especially macro shots.
Hmm.
I think generally when we are doing when you don't launch a phone and we are carrying it, we'll carry it with a case, but sometimes we don't, and generally people will not notice. But with this one, if you're carrying it, people start noticing. So I had to make sure that you keep it under wraps. So that people don't end up asking which phone is this.
Especially the green one, actually, because it's something that we've not seen before.
Yeah.
So for me also, the first time I saw it, I was kind of conflicted, because what am I expecting to feel when you first kind of hold it? When this combination of your leather coming in with different materials.
Yeah.
This was a little different for me. But it's quite interesting and a good experiment, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, by default, when you think of these materials, like you mentioned, there's leather, there's glass, there's metal, there's all these together. It seems kind of an odd fit, but when you actually hold the device, when you use it, it just seems so much more natural and it feels great to handle. And I also completely agree that the Xiaomi 14 was one of the best devices in terms of the comfort, in terms of the hand feel. But this sort of takes that to the next level, because not only is it quad curved at the back, but the glass also being quad curve. I think this is definitely like the future of smartphone displays.
It's
right?
actually the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah.
So everyone appreciated that quad curve back on the Xiaomi 14 and how good it feels to hold in hand. And then the quad curve display on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. So it basically becomes more symmetric.
Correct.
And it really feels good in hand. Even when you're just using gestures and all, it just feels really good.
Yeah, agreed. And I also like the fact that you can just keep it on a table, and because it is flat, it just stands.
It balances.
It balances.
I've not tried that.
Which is pretty cool. So that's one thing I liked. So I was doing a photo shoot yesterday, and I love the fact that because of that quad curve display, the phone looks so good. All the content that you see on it looks absolutely mesmerizing, and I was able to get some amazing shots. Hopefully we'll get that on the screen as well, but it looks really, really good. And I started liking the green the most, but over time I think I've sort of gravitated towards the black now, because it's
always black.
Yeah. What about you, Gautam? What's your
I think
favorite
this one blew my mind.
Right.
I actually like all the three colors, but
Yeah.
I actually appreciate a lot more, these tiny details.
Yes.
Like this camera module, when you just have that right
Yeah,
angle,
yeah.
gives it a very starry night kind of a look. So it looks very premium, you want to keep looking at these tiny details, the Paris hobnail around it. It also ties together all the three phones. So you have this pattern going on, you have a round module which is there on the Ultra, you have this Paris hobnail, you have this quad curve back. So, thematically and in terms of design language, it all ties up.
Correct.
The entire 14 series.
Correct. There's actually a lot going on, but at the same time, because those elements are actually restrained in a way, it still makes perfect sense when coming together. And I think the back panel being unique to every single matcha green variant is also a cool thing. I never realized
that's
that.
wild actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've just kind of added to our own complexities by trying to create this.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that a design team and people who are kind of working on this are constantly trying to do something new.
Yeah.
In the hopes that people will start liking these devices to a point that they don't put their cases on.
Correct.
While I think 70-80% of the folks still use their phones
use
with
it, yeah.
cases.
Yeah, I mean, in general, what we have seen is that if there is a clothing or apparel brand kind of a thing, you see this one-of-a-kind thing happening because there's hand-washed things and all that. But something which is like an industrial design, it's very difficult to see. Even in cars and all, the extra paint element is added by hand.
Correct.
So, to see it on a piece of technology.
Not all cars.
Just the most
the
expensive,
really
yeah,
expensive ones,
yeah.
right?
I'm sure Sandeep would know more about those cars.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting to see that one-of-a-kind thing happening
Absolutely,
in something that, again, is using industrial design, but brings in that factor. That
Actually, talking about unique patterns on the car, right? So once you drive your car enough in Bangalore, you'll have very unique patterns. You only know which angle did you hit that right auto, and where did that bike guy go and scrape you. So actually, that way is all cars look
cars are
different in
unique.
Bangalore.
That's true.
Let's not talk about Bangalore traffic. We'll
Yeah.
be having a jam
Yeah.
For a long time.
for a long time. Let's
Yeah.
not do that.
I think it's just gotten worse over the past couple of days because now schools are also reopened, so there's a lot of traffic. But
The weather's good.
Weather's good, yeah. For a change, that's good.
Yeah.
At least it didn't coincide. Bad weather and bad traffic, it didn't coincide.
I think the good thing about this co-engineering with Leica is when I was stuck in traffic, I take photos of trees and buildings and all that because I'm spending like half an hour or 1 hour in that same spot. So
Yeah.
at least gives me that opportunity that at least I can be more productive and shoot something nice.
Actually, that's an interesting thing, right? Like because earlier this year when we traveled to MWC, that was the first time I saw Gautam actually shooting photos. Else, I've not really seen him take out the camera and capture pictures. Maybe of Sia, your daughter. That's the only time I've seen him take photos. But otherwise, he's someone who I barely opens a camera app. I think, and during MWC, because of the Xiaomi 14, you started clicking a whole lot more.
It just gives you that extra perspective
Yeah.
and also that black and white high contrast. So I always look at a scenery while I may not be as creative as you are, but I look at a scene and I always feel, how would it look with that black and white filter? And it's a lot of time it comes out like really great.
Correct. I think that was the first time I actually saw someone who did not take any photos. But in the span of 1 week, it's like he was taking really artsy looking photos. I'm not sure if it was your work or your skill set, or was it the Leica filters and the Leica style that came into play. But it was really good. I think the output was quite surprising.
I think it's like a fast car that makes you feel like a racer.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like a really good camera makes you feel extra creative for sure.
I think good analogy that way. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to fast cars.
I'm sure he's thinking about his Santro. he was a racer in his Santro also.
That's true. But I think, Anuj, for you also, you had that journey, right? I think
12S
Ultra was a tipping point for you.
Correct.
And prior to that, you were not really a photographer.
I used to try.
Yeah.
But, what would happen till then is I would take a photograph, very low skill. So I would just blame it on the camera. Think, this camera is not good, and then move on. So with the 12S Ultra, I think that was the first device ever with a 1-inch sensor.
Yeah.
It had Leica optics coming in and the 35mm monochrome.
Oh, that was beautiful, yeah.
I ran out of excuses, right? And we were all in Pondicherry at that point, and we were taking photographs, and everyone's getting great shots, and I don't even have the basics of how do you do a composition. So I was like, okay, I better learn. So I remember so we were doing this small workshop where I was actually supposed to present something. But after that initial presentation, I was sitting and taking notes at the back. So I still have those notes with me.
Yeah.
saying the basics, right? So the
Yeah.
top 4 or 5 rules in terms of lighting,
Yeah.
composition, all that. So I try to use it as much as possible. Sometimes I get lucky. It's still a journey. It's still a long process of being a good photographer,
Yeah.
uh, rather than just good equipment.
Makes sense. I think that way I've also heard a few stories from folks in the media or consumers that Xiaomi X Leica devices have really helped unlock that sort of side of theirs. Right? Like, they always believed that they took good photos. So they get a wake up call with this saying, oh no, I can do so much better. So then they strive, they put some thought into it, right? Normally it's just point and click and then call it a
Yeah.
day. But rather these guys have started thinking about it as a entire process, right? And appreciating the process also. Not thinking of it as something that I just need to get done with as soon as possible.
Correct.
But rather seeing how you think about a particular scene in a different perspective, how see it in new light, right? I think that was the tagline that we had. But that is exactly what I think even the 14 CV does for us. It
Yeah.
actually helps unlock that.
Yeah, so 14 CV obviously is extending that whole Leica philosophy, right? But for me, I remember the point where I got really excited about it. So I didn't know about this device, and we were talking to the Leica folks, and the Leica guys are like, we finally done it. So I was trying to figure out, what, and these guys were really excited, and they basically said that we finally cracked the optics to be able to bring that phone, within the obviously under the 50K mark at that point,
Right.
that we were trying to get, and they were super excited about it because it's for them. Whatever we've met with the top engineers and the tech folks there, their drive towards miniaturization,
Yeah.
their drive
Yeah.
towards getting, that's how they started, right? Earlier when you had those big cameras to bringing it to a
That was
small
crazy.
lens,
Yeah.
now they are hell-bent on bringing that lens quality into a phone like this. And I think for the last couple of years, nothing could actually hit that quality
Correct.
at this price point. So everything got rejected, and then finally now they've got something in. So I remember the excitement came in from there first, and I was like, okay, I need to go check out this device. And obviously months later we started testing it, and we see the results.
Yeah.
I think that's German engineering for you.
Yeah.
They like those new challenges and take up that thing of. So when we were there, they kept talking about how Leica is not about. Of course we can create the biggest camera and all that.
Yeah.
But how do you make it as small, as compact? What the history of Leica is all about,
Correct.
right? Putting it in your hands when nobody could have thought that it could be in your hands, and now it's happening again, right? Putting that camera capabilities in something like this, which fits in just one hand. You don't even need two hands for this. So
Correct.
it's quite an achievement.
Yeah, and I think at that point of time, like Anuj was hinting, large format cameras were there which needed tripods, and it had glass plates, and it required exposure for 4 or 5 minutes, which meant that you could only shoot landscapes, or you could shoot people, but they couldn't move. Right?
Yeah.
Imagine sitting still for 5 minutes. In today's day and age, I don't think anyone can do that, right? Because we have Shiva here who constantly is scrolling through Instagram reels or YouTube shorts. So people are so fidgety, their attention span is so short. But at that time, people were actually waiting and doing that. And then thinking of the fact that how do we bring this to the masses? How do we convert this from just being a fixture to something that you carry? I think the obvious logic would be that we need a larger sensor, which is what people are thinking nowadays, right? That a larger sensor is the only thing that will affect or improve your image quality. But then going for a smaller sensor at that time, a 35mm sensor, actually unlocked a whole world of potential for us.
Yeah.
This is what, 1924?
Yeah, 24 was the first commercial 35mm camera which changed the world of photography. Imagine we didn't have that. I don't know if someone else would have done it. Maybe not. But imagine we were using our phones also on tripods even now every single day because we couldn't do that, right? That's the sort of technology that we have gotten to. And now I think we also met Peter Carber. That was a very humbling sort of experience when you talk to him about photography because you realize how little you know about it. And then he mentioned that the next step of miniaturization, which funnily enough is almost 100 years since then when we started the Leica journey, is about how smartphones will take things forward. We have achieved that limit perhaps with cameras more or less, but now smartphones with their computation, with the ability to make things really small, really takes things to a next level. So that's where I think the 14 CV.
That's
really
quite
comes.
interesting, right?
Yeah.
So on the smartphone cameras, so we see year-on-year improvement, and obviously right now, I think compared to a year back or 2 years back, it's come a long way. But I think it's quite interesting. So I have phones from 10 years ago lying at home, and they still work. Some of the phones that I've got from there, and when you compare the cameras from there to now, right? So in 10 years, the difference is so huge. You can't even. I mean, it sometimes breaks your brain. You keep thinking that
It's insane. Yeah.
how the hell that happened. And I remember like in 2014, you would be going gaga over that camera.
Yeah.
So
which is true.
Which also makes me very, very optimistic, saying if in 10 years we've come such a long way, and especially for us at least, the Xiaomi Leica Institute has just gotten started.
Correct.
I don't know what will be the case in 2030 or 2034.
True.
How good would it get? And with a combination of optics and computational photography, can we go past like your DSLRs and things like that, and also take some of the skill part out?
Yeah,
making
that is
it
true.
easy.
That is true. Yes,
You can say AI now.
Yeah.
I probably won't go as far as AI. I think obviously while AI will be a big deal in the years to come, but your basic skill cannot be removed, right? Otherwise, it's a difference between a photograph and a creative.
Yeah.
So you're getting a creative or a poster, but it's not your creation.
Your thought, your
right?
view, your angle.
It's like you can get a JPEG, but you will still buy that painting from a good painter. Right?
Yeah.
That value of
difference
art,
between a house and a home, basically.
the value of art is still going to be
Correct.
there, and probably if this becomes too much in terms of obviously the AI penetration will be quite a lot, that value of an authentic image will probably go up even more. Saying you can actually do it or not.
True.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I think long back when we used to have started with cameras on a mobile phone, it was more of a magic trick, right? So that something as small as this can capture
as a camera.
camera.
as a camera.
0.3 MP.
MP, yeah. So at that point of time, people knew that okay, DSLR is something else. People who need professional photography and all those things, maybe for that.
Yeah.
But this can do this is something that's really nice. I saw one of a celeb, a Japanese fan met them, and then they took a photo on their flip phone, and she got really hyped up that you can do it on a camera. I don't remember which
It was like that time.
Yeah, that time basically. So
Okay. I thought now.
Yeah.
no. Basically, the first flip phone that they had in Japan with the camera. So one of the celebrities got really psyched up that a phone can do that.
Can take pictures.
Yeah, but at that point, people knew the difference that okay, DSLR is one thing for photography, but I still have something compact, something that can take that photos. But now I think in the past 2-3 years we have definitely blurred those lines.
Yeah.
No, I mean, to a layman, honestly, it does not make enough of a difference to warrant having a separate camera anymore, is what I feel.
Yeah.
Of course, professionals may still find the difference because they're able to extract something more. But that also, like you said, the gap is being bridged more and more as days or years go by. So.
But one thing I still like about your standalone cameras is the more they make you work, the more you appreciate what you are shooting.
Correct.
Oh,
that's true.
Like the IKEA effect, basically.
Could be, yeah, because you worked hard for it, right? So whatever you work hard for in life, and if you finally get it, you'll value it more than just getting it.
Just getting it. That's true.
So for example, the Leica M11, it doesn't even have autofocus.
Yeah.
Right. So imagine a camera which is 12 or 13 lakhs. Lacks autofocus. So for most of us, we'll kill it in the spec sheet itself. So you have to manually focus everything, which makes shooting something that's moving extremely hard, right? But then I spent enough time going on YouTube, listening to existing M11 users, saying how are they kind of doing this, and they had different tricks, right? And timing and their movement, so that after all of that, when you finally get that shot, right?
Yeah.
You value it so much more than just point and shoot. So I think there is
It
some
also
aspect.
becomes like your camera then, because only you know how to get that perfect shot from it. It's
Correct.
not like you can hand it over and someone will also be able to do it. So you value that art form a lot more.
Correct. So that's where I used to like with the Ultra, the 14 Ultra, I insisted on taking every shot twice, one normally and one with the polarizer.
Ah, right. Yeah.
And I was
Oh,
just
yeah.
trying to
See the
difference, right? So I was back home in Pathankot, and in the middle of the day, which was quite hot, I'm trying to photograph something for like 20 minutes, you know. And everyone from inside the house, I could see my parents, and everyone look at me saying, "Ki kya kar raha hai?"
Yeah, but that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? And I think that wouldn't have happened a few years ago had it not been for that
Correct.
12S Ultra, right?
Yeah.
Which was your gateway into that.
It's a
In
journey.
your case, the 14, which unlocked that, I guess. Yeah, so interesting. But I think cameras, I would say, tip of the iceberg for the Civi. We have so much more. I think the biggest thing that I think we ask people to do is the pickup test, right? How this is so light and everyone just touches and it's like just 177 grams. That's super light. How is that possible? And also super sleek at just 7.4 millimeters, which is absolutely insane. If you think of what all we've managed to pack into this, that's really crazy. And even a large 4700 mAh battery, right?
Yeah.
So that is truly an engineering marvel, is what I would say. But yeah, it's absolutely spectacular once you start handling it, and even in terms of the display, because photography is one part of it, but unless you have a great display to view that content on, it sort of only goes a certain way. So with this, the beautiful quad curve display, I think that's something once people try it, they're like, this is the best thing. Since sliced bread, right? That sort of a thing. Because
not too many people have experienced quad curve till
That's-
now.
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's obviously limited.
It's
It
a
was
second
only
phone.
there on the 14 Ultra.
yeah.
So with this, I hope, or I think actually, because of the price point itself, and you're getting Leica cameras and everything else, you'll start experiencing this a lot more with a lot more people. And once that starts happening, I have a feeling, and this is probably just my hunch, but you'll see a lot of other brands following
Yeah.
suit, trying to copy this, quad curved screen. So people, there are a lot of brands who've basically, for a couple of years, just kept crying curved screen,
Yeah.
right? And then suddenly, when one particular brand said that, okay, we're going to go only flat. Then the second brand also said we'll go flat this year with their flagships, and then everyone else is saying, oh yeah, flat is the one, right? So there's no opinion from their side. From our engineering team, they were like, yes, there are some products which need to be flat, there's some products which are curved, like for example our Note series is curved, but then they had been kind of working towards the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So flat has its advantages, curved has its advantages. How do you marry the two? And try and remove as many negatives as possible, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where this screen really starts winning over anything else. But yeah, let's see. I don't know. How much time do you think it'll take for others to start copying this?
Probably by this year end, I'm guessing.
6 months?
6
Yeah.
months.
No, luckily, because it's a hardware thing, not as fast as they copied our watermark. That was way too fast.
Yeah, that was really quick.
Really
Yeah.
quick, yeah. And now everyone's doing it, right? But I think that was a beautiful thing that we managed to pull off.
No,
with
but
Leica.
that goes to show, and again, that didn't happen on our own.
Yeah.
So that watermark only came in with the Leica team coming in.
correct,
So it was aesthetics, that understanding, the framing of the photograph,
Yeah.
all that coming in for the entire mobile industry to realize, oh, that we should have been doing this.
We
right?
should have done this, yeah.
And I think 3 months or 4 months later, you had the blue brands and the green brands copying it really, really quickly.
Maybe we can put it for the people watching. Like, place your bets in how many months,
we should
some
kind
other
of.
brands.
They can comment.
And as soon as the first phone launches, we'll come back, check the comments, and give them something.
Yeah.
On the form factor, I think because, of Xiaomi 14, how much praises it got from everyone.
Yeah.
I think we took that as a base to basically define what this phone is going to be. So, internally, making sure that the The display, the bezels are as thin as possible. Maintain a bigger battery, a high density battery as well, but still put it in this form factor. I think that comes from that how much people appreciated the Xiaomi 14. So it takes a lot of learnings from both the phones. So that's, I think, where we feel that this is like the perfect Xiaomi phone, right?
Correct.
It's very difficult to figure out that is there anything that I might not like. Because the first time I saw it, I used it, I was like, how? Because generally it's been a long time since people have been saying we have perfected smartphones. It's very commodity like a thing. You can't do much innovation on top of it. But then you see something like this, and you know that okay, innovation still goes on.
Yeah.
And you still see a lot of those things happening in this.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's created a perfect phone yet.
No.
Right, and we test amongst ourselves. We test so many other competition devices as well. Some of the devices are really good. Some of them are not. But nobody's got the perfect recipe yet. And I think it's a process where if someone goes and says that okay, this is the perfect phone and nothing will get better from here, goes to show how little they are probably focused on the R&D side, or they're connected to the actual development world.
Yeah.
So for us also, actually, this is a process. And what obviously is very, very encouraging for me is we are just going to complete about 2 years of the partnership with Leica.
Yeah.
So in 2 years, we've come such a long way. I can't wait to see what the next 2 years would be, or the 2 years after that. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, even on the 12S Ultra, right? When 12S Ultra came out, the 1-inch sensor and everything, people said that this is the best image out there. Of course, we could have also said, okay, work job done, let's go home. But then we also have the Optical Institute that we opened.
Correct.
So it goes to show that, we don't believe that innovation has stopped just yet. We continue to build on top of it, and we continue to give you a better image quality, a better software experience, a better overall output as well.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's interesting, right? So when you see a lot of industry folks start saying that this is where the technology has stopped off, makes it perfect for a new entrant to come in and completely disrupt that.
Yeah.
Case in point, cars.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of, for the longest time, the car industry actually was the most exciting, at least for me. What I remember was like the 70s, 80s, 90s, where you were having experiments, you were having these really wild cars and the Countachs of the world. Right? I mean, I don't know if you guys had posters in your room, but I remember every kid that, when we were kind of growing up, every kid had one of these cars. Whether it was the first McLaren F1, or the Lamborghinis, or I think
Ferrari F40, F50.
So all of those used to be
those,
so wild.
Those magazine also came with like a poster at the center of like
You
all
just,
new Ferraris and all that.
Just paste
Yeah.
it.
And trump cards and things like that. But from there, it just kind of became quite stagnant. The only innovation that we saw essentially was probably a Tesla, right? Trying to really push the EV part in. Because before that, people had tried EVs, but it always came across as a side project.
Yeah. People saw it as a very boring product. Like nobody got like truly excited about something like an EV.
Like, essentially, they were like glorified golf carts.
The G-Wiz being the Reva, which came in India.
Yeah,
which was like the tiny 2-seater.
Yeah.
No space.
Yeah, I think they rebranded it to E2 Go or something like that.
Yeah,
now,
so it became a Reva. Reva then got rebranded to a E2
So I remember test driving one in 2009. So, I was working in a different company and we were testing a lot of equipment for EMI EMC. So in that, a Reva one came in. And so we had this large chamber, a 10 meter by 10 meter. So it was huge. So you could fit in cars. And it had a turntable, so the car would sit in the middle and you turn the car and you have sensors all over which check the radiation, for example, right? EMI interference and stuff like that. So in that, I was most excited when a Reva came in. So at that point, my role was, and I was just getting started at that point. So my role was I drove the Reva from the parking lot into this and then drove it back out. So I was quite excited saying electric car, but when I first pressed the accelerator, it just took the entire excitement out of me in one go. All the way down to now, which was like last month, we finally got to see the Xiaomi SU7. And I think the SU7 is also doing a Xiaomi to the electric
the entire
industry.
EV industry.
Yeah, so the entire EV industry has been kind of compromised, right? So you do a good tech product, but you basically just forego everything else. And that's where your traditional car manufacturers do really well, like the fit and finish and everything else.
Right.
Or you try and do that, but you don't really create an EV.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't really see a point of having an EV which has a range of 200 or 250 kilometers or 300 kilometers that we're getting. Yes, I mean, in Bangalore traffic, you're not going too far, but that range anxiety is something that you don't want to pay for, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is where, with the SU7, it just completely flips it on its head. And the fact that from concept or thought, saying we should do a car, to actually selling a car and having it on the ground was less than 1,000 days. It just blows my mind.
Absolutely insane. I think once you also see how they're making it, and I think it's also fair to say, like, when we also saw the announcement and stuff, we were like excited. But once you see it in person, once it becomes tangible, once you experience it, I think it's a completely different feeling. I think it's a moment I genuinely felt so proud that I'm working for one of the best companies in the world right now, which is absolutely insane. I mean, no other brand could do or is doing what we're doing right now, right?
I mean, you can give certain brands $10 billion and they'll still not be able to make it.
Yeah.
But like even a Tesla and all, like everyone kept saying it's a new brand, so panel gaps and all these issues that you keep seeing, like the USB port was just empty hole. And in some cars it was the case.
Oh, they forgot to put the port.
Yeah.
Type don't see.
So it was like, but everyone kept saying, okay, new brand, they don't know, they don't have that prowess of a big German brand that they look at all these tiny details.
They were still accepting of those flaws. Yeah.
Everyone was accepting of those flaws. Okay, it's a new brand, but given the fact that we did it in what, 1,000
less than 1,000 days.
Less than 1,000 days. And still all the reviews that you see, all people talking about it, and everyone kept saying, okay, it's hyped, but the hype is real.
Yeah. So the point is that, right? Saying, yes, you can see all the reviews in the world, but like, for example, these phones also, right? You can see all the reviews, but till you actually hold it in your hand and try out the camera, you will still not gauge that impact.
True.
Likewise, for, I guess, all of us, till we sat in the car, we didn't realize what it was.
Right? The first time we saw it at MWC, and it was quite exciting to actually look at it, but we could not really sit in it because so much crowd and all going for it. So the one thing I wanted was that I definitely want to sit in one, but just looking at it, that you're looking at something. It does not feel like it's a first car by someone.
Correct.
It feels like someone has like years and years of experience, and with that experience they built something.
Yeah.
And I think sitting inside one, which we finally did, it just feels amazing. I think my personal favorite is that red leather fabric inside.
Ooh,
It feels so good. I mean, it just feels good, that Napa leather and all those things that are going. Of course, it's comfortable, but it just feels so good when you're sitting. It's like you're sitting inside like something so futuristic, yet something which is very aesthetically pleasing. So how do you get that both the things happening in just the first car itself? So
I think there's this triangle normally in car terms. So you have your performance on one side, you have your comfort on one side, and your convenience, right? So generally you can do two. You can't do all of them. So that also is a stretch. For example, you have a Tesla, which is convenient and good performance, but your comfort is usually compromised because of the fit issues, panel gaps, etc., like you mentioned.
What do you mean by convenience, though?
Convenience in the sense that it is easy to charge, you have all the features that you need. So that's how people define convenience.
Convenience to drive.
It could be that also. Convenience is defined, I would say, in a different level. It's quite subjective. But at least from the other part, which you were also hinting to, that if you look at a Mercedes EQS, for instance, it is very comfortable, right? It is also good in terms of convenience, but performance is not quite as good as a Tesla Model S Plaid, for instance. Here, we have performance that can outdo a Taycan or even a McLaren, P1 to 100. That is insane.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's a BMW 5 Series. It's a 5 meter long car. You have plush leather seats, like you mentioned, very comfortable, ventilated seats. Then on top of that, you also have the convenience that is connected to your phone, to your home, and it's also very easy to use and drive. So it ticks all the three
But
triangles.
one thing that kept crossing my mind while I was there is that this car will never be able to cross that speed breaker on Sarjapur Road.
No, but this has the air suspension, right?
It does.
Technically, it goes to 180 mm. So 180 mm is still higher than.
You can
most
raise
of
it.
Yeah, you can raise it.
Oh, you can raise it.
So it goes to 180 mm. So I think we are safe. that
Okay,
way.
I didn't try that.
I still wouldn't try it on a Bangalore speed breaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the
I
speed
mean,
breakers
it's
are
just
like,
so good looking. I don't want any part of it touching any any road here. But yeah, I mean, even
But I think that's also a part of the complexity of it, right? Saying if we, for example, had to build a car, you'd have to look at every country separately.
Yeah.
Look at the road conditions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you try and do one car for the entire world, may not work, right? You'll give up on something in certain parts. So I think that's going to be a very, very complex
Correct.
engineering problem.
What's your favorite color? SU7.
has to be the aqua
Blue.
I just
Anuj would say black.
No, not. Unfortunately, I learned the hard way with the black car. So black car, and at least there was this profound love for that car by the local pigeons. It just became such a nightmare for me.
Black became white.
Yeah. So at one point, I think when I had the car for about 3-4 years, I couldn't get around to cleaning it.
Oh no. Okay.
So for about a month, all I used to do is clean the windshield so I could see beyond it and then get to office. And I once the wake up call was that I was taking a turn near Madiwala, and the auto guys started keeping some distance from me. I was like, okay, this is a bit too much.
Too much. Yeah. If they're worried, yeah.
But I think the blue, obviously, the blue that we've got stands out.
yeah.
You can see it from like hundreds of kilometers, hundreds of meters away, not kilometers, sorry.
Yeah.
Hundreds of meters away on that road, you could see that, okay, there's a SU7 coming in. The green is quite nice, quite understated.
Olive green, yeah.
But yeah, I think white I would probably, I'm not a white car person, so.
Yeah. I also, honestly, I didn't see it initially, but when I went there, I saw the lava orange. I also liked that because it's a car which is very practical, like we said, but it sort of gives that supercar vibes. And for supercars, you need like a loud color, which also the aqua blue does to an extent.
Yeah.
But having that crazy orange is also pretty cool, I think.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. And Xiaomi being orange.
Xiaomi orange.
Yeah. So it would be nice also. But yeah, I think that experience of just being in the car is absolutely surreal, and looking forward to whenever next we can sit in that as well. So that's it.
I also like the fact that how it's very well thought through. Like in some of the cars, you keep seeing these reviews for a Tesla, for a BYD, for example, that they're giving a big display, but no buttons. And people don't like controlling. Some people are okay controlling their air conditioning and all that volume and all that through touch, but most of the people would say, okay, it's inconvenient because you have to continuously look at the screen while doing it. So to think through and add an extra
modular
accessory for the display that adds button to the display is also, it's just well thought through.
Yeah, even
there are space,
Or that speaker.
the bars that go along with the music.
There's the equalizer
that as well.
that you can add, and then
even
there's
like the compass and the speed, you can add
correct.
those things also.
Correct.
Plus there are spaces that you can open and place your phone holder and all. So it's all very well thought through.
Yeah.
It's actually from a thought perspective. This is actually where the birth of HyperOS also happened, right?
Yeah.
I think how do you have one connected world
Yeah.
where your personal devices like your phones or watches and your home devices also interconnect with your car, so it all works together. It's like 10-15 years ago we used to see these
Sci-fi movies.
not movies but whenever you ask somebody saying what will be the vision of
Vision of
future,
future,
I mean,
yeah.
all of it works together.
Together,
Uh,
correct.
So I remember seeing a entity Docomo film in 2003
Hmm.
where they were talking about how data connectivity would start changing things like this.
Hmm.
And for all of these actually to come in and executed in a better way, I think
Yeah.
completely blows my mind.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. Even that demo that we saw there, where you just the car knows it's reached home, your curtains open up, your
Yeah.
purifier turns on,
Yeah.
lights come on. It's absolutely amazing,
Yeah, it's
right?
living in the future kind of a
Yeah,
a
kind of
zone.
vibe. Yeah, but absolutely insane. And I think some of that, even the access to such great groundbreaking technology, is one of the reasons why we also have such tech in our phones, like the Civi and the battery that we have in it, 1,600 charge cycles, and still retaining 80% charge. Right?
Yeah.
That's insane, right? That capacity.
1600 is how many? Suppose you charge it once a day. How
Yeah.
many days does it?
It's,
I mean, how many years will it go? 1600
more
days.
than 4.3
Yeah,
years.
4.3 years.
So 4 years, I mean, that's not the upgrade cycle anyways, but even if you pass it on to your brother, for example, to someone in the family, they also know that, they also get the same experience that you got on day one. So that's also a great thing that you don't have to say that, okay, for most of the people, like when they're moving to a new phone, battery becomes like a huge reason. So
Yeah.
definitely that's not going to be the case, right? You know that the battery life is great. You can still expect greater battery life. And the existing phone is also good enough for another 2 years or so on.
Yeah, because most phones are doing 800 charge cycles and 80%. This is like 2x.
880.
Yeah.
So double that.
Double that, yeah. And it's also great battery life, right? Because of the chipset that we have in it and the efficiency. It's actually good battery life. You're getting a day's use comfortably, even with heavy usage. So I think that's a major thing, and the fact that you have fast charging also.
Yeah.
So I think overall it's a great package, and I think everyone will find some reason to love it, right?
Yeah.
To really, really enjoy using it. And I think even, for example, the IR blaster, that's something that everyone keeps talking about, and even such small things we still have it without.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a controversial question, considering that we're all from Xiaomi. Do you guys miss the headphone jack?
No, I don't think so.
I can live with it, yeah. I mean, it's fine. I mean, there are some headphones that I still have, and I'm sure you would have more. But I think I can do without it. The only time I really miss it is when I'm gaming on the phone, because I need that latency. But probably or if I'm playing like really, high basically bitrate kind of a music, which I don't now.
Yeah.
Because
I think for me, convenience won over quality at the end, or like having those wires and stuff. I used to be in a phase where I wanted certain quality. I wanted the high-res players, the DAC, everything, but then became inconvenient. And after a while, I was like, no, I'll just have this. It's also the same for me from a journey perspective, from a photography thing also. So I used to carry DSLRs, I used to carry mirrorless cameras. Eventually, now I just carry my phone. That's it. So I think it sort of is the same way for audio also, at least for me. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think I have 3 DACs with me. But out of that, 2 of them are portable. So I do kind of carry them. If I'm carrying my headphone, the wired headphones with me. Yeah, but it's quite interesting saying. I guess as long as you're able to have a good Type-C output, I'm still kind of okay with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I end up connecting. So while my laptop has a audio jack, I'll connect the DAC to the USB-C out and then listen through that. So then I guess from that perspective, I mean, if you're going in for music and if you're going in for a wired headphone where you want that quality and all that, then probably, looking at some of those DACs is a good idea.
But if you don't carry it, do you miss it? Do you miss it a lot?
No, so my test actually is that suppose I'm going somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm going out of station and if I've gone more than 200 meters away from home and I remember something, will I turn back for it or not?
Yeah.
So that's my test for a particular equipment or gadget that I have, and I've realized that I have these pair of wired noise cancelling headphones from I think 6 years or 7 years ago. I absolutely love them, but I'll not turn around for them, especially not in Bangalore traffic. I was like, it's okay, let
You
it go.
can't turn around. Unfortunately.
So then I'll switch over to the TWS because those are easy to carry and they're always in my bag. But yeah, that's one test, right? So that used to be true also for me in terms of tablets till some time back. But now with the tablet and basically most of my notes being on the tablet, the turnaround comes in. So I was like, oh, I forgot my tablet. I got to go back and pick it up. So I think that's one test that I keep. Saying, will you go back home?
It's interesting, yeah. Actually, you haven't thought of it that way, but should start measuring devices that way before I buy itself. Like, do I really need it? Will I turn around? Yeah, that's interesting. What's your favorite Xiaomi product?
My favorite.
So far, yeah.
I actually have quite a lot of them. So
That we know.
I think
okay, so from all the stuff that you bought last month,
exactly. That's what I was going to like. Yeah, if you were to choose one thing from that, what would be your favorite?
I think I picked the SU7 speaker that goes under the center console. There are auto charges in the SU7. Someday I'll have that, but I bought the speaker when it was. It just sounds so good. I mean, the first time I just tried it in the store, and it sounded so good that I could not believe that because I have not seen it. I saw it for the first time, and it sounded so good. I bought it. Then and that was an open space area, right?
Yeah,
Even then it sounded great. And I played it in my room, and it sounded even more amazing. And it connects to the Mi Home app as well. I can tune a lot of things. So I think that was good. It also has a built-in light. So I think it's designed for the car because it has this blinking feature as well that you can put on the top of the car or something for someone who's coming that way to notice that, okay, there's a car that stopped. So that is, I think, quite interesting. The Watch S3 is also quite exciting.
I agree to that.
Both are rocking one.
The S3.
I just find it too big for me.
Oh,
so
that's why the band.
The band.
Yeah. But what's your favorite product?
My favorite product ever?
If you have a product.
Mi 9.
Mi 9.
I mean, except the camera, I would love to go back. But the camera is obviously now, Mi 9 is a 2019 product, right?
Yeah.
So now the camera starts feeling dated, especially with these Leica.
5 years. Yeah.
That's 5 years. Yeah.
2019 feels like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
but it's not.
But I basically have a engineering sample of the Explorer edition. So essentially, it's one in the world.
Wow. Nice.
Nobody else has that.
Okay.
So I really value it.
Yeah.
I think last year sometime my wife dropped her phone. So she didn't have a backup phone. So she asked saying, can I use that for some time? I was like, no.
Yeah. Too valuable.
Yeah, I will not.
But all the products, I mean, like even small products, I got that doorbell, which
the
connects
video
to
one.
The video doorbell.
Ah.
So while I mean it's great, it has a sensor and when it activates, it notices someone is close by. It also gives me a notification the video is fine. But one great thing that I liked about it is that you can reply back, but you can also change your voice.
Oh.
So if let's say my wife is at home, she can still use a voice of a middle-aged man to respond to, let's say, a delivery guy or someone who's outside. So she does not really need to use her voice. So I think this small thing, it makes it more magical than it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's very interesting.
Now I feel like going and getting one.
Yeah, I need that.
I always feel that way.
Actually, in fact, the bottles that we are using also.
Yeah.
I got the water. I'm quite excited about the charger that I bought. I mean, it's a 67 watt GAN charger. But the fact that it's got 3 ports, so it's like, at least when I'm traveling, everything will charge through one.
Charger, yeah. Interesting.
Otherwise, it becomes a pain.
Yeah.
Even the baby monitor that I got for Sia, that is
You got a
also
baby monitor?
Yeah. And
Can you change the voice there also?
Change it to
like
Barney.
Godzilla is crying. But yeah, I mean, even that, like, I showed it to my wife, and wife is like, oh, the color is so aesthetically pleasing. It goes well with our, furniture set, or basically whatever she has planned in the house.
Your furniture is basically just Xiaomi products anyway. So
Yeah, I also
the speaker, everything.
Sadly, they did not bring the bed frame and the bed here yet, so I had to buy one from IKEA.
Yeah.
But it all goes various, and it's a very plug and play kind of a thing. So I opened the box. There were like some screws, and also I was like, shit, I'll have to do some DIY.
Yeah.
But turns out that it has like a stand, like a like a selfie stick. You have those telescopic sticks. So it has that, and it also fits on the board of the bed. So it just plug and play. So it's really good, and it just has a USB port. I plugged it in that extension cord of Xiaomi again. I have so it just felt very seamless. So that was one good thing, and even the display that it comes with, you just press the power button and it's live. So you have that. You have like a small knob, a crown that you rotate to zoom in. You have reply by function. So it's just very well thought out. So you don't have you don't never feel that okay they should have added something. You always feel oh this has so many things that I never thought of.
That's the Xiaomi way of doing things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, which also is true with this phone and almost every other product.
Yeah.
Like this itself, right?
Yeah.
Like I was drinking water from it and it kept falling on my face. So like if they could have done something to lock it, and then I did this, and I was like, oh, they have figured it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, all these small things you don't have to figure that out. They have figured it out for you.
Somebody's been thinking.
Yeah. So it just feels good, and you also feel very confident. If I have to take some gift for my friends, neighbors, and all, I know that it's definitely the best choice to go for, because they also then come back and say, oh, this is very good. This feature is very good. Like that, the soundbar, the small tiny soundbar by Redmi, it has that RGB light, which also plays along with how the music is playing. So, small things people come to appreciate a lot in all these Xiaomi products. And that's why, all this basically makes it magical.
Yeah.
True. I think that's a great way to end the first episode. Thank you guys for your time. But before we wrap up, I think we are open to any sort of feedbacks or questions that you guys may have, so that we can actually talk about it, address them in future episodes. I think it will be quite interesting to see what you guys think about the new Xiaomi 14 Civi, as well as all the other things that we spoke about. Let's keep it free flowing. Let's have you guys engage with us, not just on the video comments itself, but as well as on Twitter, Instagram, any other platform that you find us. And please do share screenshots as well as your thoughts as well when you're doing it. See you guys again very soon in the next one. And before I end it, would like to say, please do like, share, and subscribe. I think I did say this in a previous life, but now back at it and saying that again. If you guys liked it, please do like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next one.
Xiaomi